Toronto hosts round 13 of the NTT INDYCAR Series in 2025. Welcome to the first practice session for the weekend. We were waiting for INDYCAR Radio, but they have yet to come on air. So while we wait for our colleagues, let's join this Fox team down on the ground. Will Buxton is down in Toronto.
Final stint from Pato O'Ward in race 1, and in race 2, anything that could have gone wrong did go wrong for him. Had the pace, but pitted. Green flag. And I mean, we showed the replay. He came in, and literally as he crossed the pit entry, an Andretti crashed. And then as he came in the next time, an Andretti crashed and is out. And it just couldn't be worse luck.
Well, and then he's got to come here to try to reset and find some magic on the streets of Toronto, and this has not been a particularly strong track for Team Penske or frankly any of the Chevys the last couple of years. That's what I love about IndyCar so much. You couldn't pick a more contrasting environment to the short oval at Iowa. The streets of Toronto are so punishing, and all of a sudden Andretti last weekend nowhere, absolutely miserable, and they come here bouncing off the walls with enthusiasm because they know they're going to be good, and the rest of the field knows they're going to be good.
It was interesting talking to Pato O'Ward in the bullpen this morning, and he's like, yeah, we've made some changes to the setup. This kind of track's not been our best. This particular track's been my personal worst. He's like, I think we're going to be better. We're not going to be Andretti good, but we're going to be better. The whole field knows that that team is going to be the class of the field in theory, on paper, as we roll out for first practice. But as Joseph Newgarden proved in Iowa, just because you're the class of the field, that doesn't guarantee a win.
Practice is go here on the streets of Toronto. The cars making their way on to Prince's Boulevard. And guys, why don't we take a moment to have a look at this 1 3/4 mile circuit.
Beautiful track through downtown Toronto here. Staple on the IndyCar calendar for quite some time. Lakeshore Boulevard, the back straight. But let's start up Prince's Boulevard towards turn 1. Those famous gates, the Prince's Gates right there, flat out and blind around turn 2 as you go blasting down Lakeshore Boulevard. 50-kilometer-an-hour speed limit, 360 days of the year, but we crank it up a little bit. Some great passing opportunities there into turn 3. Tough turn 6, and then turn 8, T-Bell, a lot of action down there as well.
Yeah, tough brake zone. I mean, we were going around with Kyle Kirkwood this morning in Honda Civic Pace Car, and brake zone for turn 8. Bumpier than ever. It is so harsh the way it fires through both the front and rear axles. The bumpiest track of the year, and like Pato O'Ward was talking to us earlier, he thinks this separates the field even more in terms of the haves and have-nots, in terms of the right setup to have around this place. Andretti should be strong.
Why don't we head down to pit lane and hear first from our man Jack Harvey.
Thank you, Will. One of the things that's really interesting and unique about this racetrack is actually pit lane. And luckily, some of the cars are already coming through. There's 3 corners that makes up pit lane. And we've seen so recently how critical pit stops are. They are determining some of the race results. But also, just spare a quick thought for all the guys and girls who go over the wall. They're going to be essentially trusting all the drivers that they do the right thing coming through some of these blind spots. Kevin.
And because of that, the pit speed limiter is only 40 miles per hour. That's the fastest you can go, and you're actually getting a look at the second turn of pit lane, and this is the most advantageous position. Barry Wanzer and Alex Palou, the championship leader, winning the pole for the second race at Iowa last week, have the best spot. So they're going to come out of this section here, and then he actually has to go right a little bit. This wall hasn't always been here, so it's a little sharper, and actually it's going to be moved back about a foot or so. When you build a temporary street track, sometimes the walls, temporary walls, don't get set up the way you like. So Barry tells me that this will be moved back a foot or so, as close as they can get to that light post, and that's why the wall was added, because that post has not always been here. Now let's talk about the championship leader. Plus 113 for Alex Palou at this point, and last week's win at Iowa was especially meaningful. That's the last thing he hadn't done. Won on a short oval, and he said he really wanted to do that to show how you are a complete IndyCar driver. And now, by the way, he's won on all 4 types of tracks this year. Road course, street course, short oval, super speedway with the Indianapolis 500. Joseph Newgarden, the last to do that in 22, and before that it was 2009. This guy is on it. to Georgia Henneberry.
Kevin, impressive stuff from Alex Pouliot. But one thing that's unique right here in Toronto, Canada, is the paddock. This is the INDYCAR Center. It's over 1 million square feet, and it houses our 27 teams and drivers. We don't have that ever. We're never inside. This is an air-conditioned 1 million square foot building that everyone gets to hang out in during the day. It sits right behind pit lane, and I just wanted to give you a little look at it because, I mean, look at it. It's awesome. I mean, everyone's right by each other. This is, again, the INDYCAR Center. It's the largest convention center in Canada, and we get to use it all weekend long. So take a look with me. You can see Juncos Hollinger Racing, Prema Racing, and everyone's just one big happy family back here in the paddock. But a lot of action happening on pit lane, so I'll send it back to you.
Okay, well, that is in the infield of the exhibition centre around here in Toronto. Our visit to Canada after flirting a couple of weeks ago at the Detroit Grand Prix as well, where we looked over the river and Canada was on the other side. Practice still a little quiet with no cars out in the circuit, but I'm delighted to say that INDYCAR Radio has become available. So let's send it down now to our colleagues at the radio station for INDYCAR, who provide us with all of our practice coverage.
Opportunities, however, those who start up front usually finish there.
Yeah, you know, and one thing, Mark, is they can't test here like a permanent street course or road course. They're able to go test and get their cars better and really get them fine-tuned. Anytime we go to a street circuit, they cannot test. So it's kind of the same for everybody. They've all been here. They all have a good starting point, and it really makes it super competitive. So I expect to see the same. I think there's going to be several drivers, including the Meyer-Shank drivers, and I think the Foyt drivers. I think there's a lot of different teams that really are going to have the opportunity to, you know, get a win in this year.
Beautiful start to the weekend in Toronto. Let's get the specifics on that by welcoming in Alex Wolf.
Well, Mark Janes, I think that if you could bottle up these weather conditions for this practice session and sell them, there's a lot of promoters in various racing disciplines that would be willing to pay a hefty price for it, because ambient temperature is 72 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 22 degrees Celsius up here in Canada. Sunshine, blue skies, and as a result of that sunshine beating down on these city streets, the track temperature 119 as far as Fahrenheit goes, 48 Celsius, but just absolutely perfect conditions as we stand here in the pit lane in the shadows of BMO Field, the home of the soccer team Toronto FC, and also the Toronto Argonauts. So it should be a great weekend here on the streets.
Some big news involving Nolan Siegel, of course, not able to race in race number 2 after a heavy hit, but some good news earlier this week. And let's get more on specifics with team principal Tony Kanaan, who's with our Michael Young.
TK, it was a rough week for you guys. Race number 1 in Iowa, extremely hard hit for Nolan Siegel. Coming off another extremely hard hit at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway a month and a half earlier. Concerned because he was not able to start race number 2 in Iowa. I'm guessing a concussion. A busy week for you guys. Kind of walk us through the entire process.
Oh, honestly, we didn't get the news until Sunday morning, so it was too late to start even that car. Some people saw me on a driver's suit. I was trying to at least gain some points for the leader circuit at the time. I was not going to race, but by the rules, we couldn't do that. So I decided not to put anybody in that car.
To interrupt you quickly, you know how excited people get when you even come close to putting a fire suit on?
Yeah, but Mike, we got to stop that. I mean, I have a new role. I wanted to detach myself of the race car driver. Obviously, for my ego, it was awesome, but I don't think you're going to see me doing a full race anyway. But then we had 5 days for Nolan to get evaluated by INDYCAR. We trust the doctors. We have an awesome process on the concussion. I think INDYCAR is actually, you know, one of the leaders on how to track that nowadays. And he was going to get cleared Thursday morning. So I had to have a backup plan. We suffered that with Alex here last year. I pulled out an all-nighter trying to get Porsche here. So we decided to bring Linus around, but he knew right away that it could be a possibility that he was not going to be in the car. We don't have a place to any other driver here in the near future or next year. The 6th car is Nolan's car, but I told Linus it probably was going to be painful, but he's been going through every race. So I said, at least you're going to be wearing a cool shirt, and we can help bump your name up. And so that's what it was. He got clear yesterday. Nolan got clear yesterday, and we're all happy. That's what we wanted in the car. and Linus gets to hang around with us, and hopefully that will help him out. We'll probably get a job in another team.
When you talk about Linus, of course, Linus Lundqvist, the stress that you were under, obviously hoping for the best, but not knowing these types of situations, you're trying to put that 6 car of the Leader Circle program, everything involved with it, trying to stay ahead of any complications, and throwing a curveball on Sunday morning. I can't imagine your mindset going into this week.
You know, Mike, stress is when you try to pass a car in the last lap of the 500. This is just part of the job. And if that's not the way I think, if I don't think this team can put a car, even with the curveballs that are being thrown at us, in the top 20 first, I don't think I should be doing the job that I'm doing. But it is a risk. It is what it is. But I'm fully confident that we're going to get back into a more comfortable spot. But this is racing. I have a full confidence in Nolan and the team that we're just going to recover. If you look at my career, I think I dealt with more difficult situations a lot better than managing a good one. So kind of like the chaos. So let's make it work.
Well, you indeed love chaos. Lastly, you've started to put your thumbprint on this Arrow McLaren team, bringing in Kyle Moyer. How close to perfect, and I know it'll never be perfect, do you feel that this organization is right now?
We're never going to be perfect. We're just going to have to be better every day and trying to make the most out of people. I think as an organization, when Zach gave me the opportunity, I told him, I said, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm obsessed with winning, and we're clearly not doing it. So just trying to put the right people at the right places. We have a good team, trying to make everybody feel comfortable and secure that they all have a part of this team and work as a team. It's not about a title. It's not about who is running it. It's about us. So Kyle has been a great addition. Harn has been a great addition. Obviously, there are people that work with me my entire career, but putting myself out there and taking responsibility of changing. Obviously, it's not easy, but I like where we are, and I think perfect we're never going to be, because I'm never going to be happy. So hopefully we'll improve this team every day.
I just thought the importance of Pato winning race number 1 last weekend. What did that do to help this team get that next step to that next level that you wanted to get to?
Now that's pressure. Obviously, with the F1 team doing as well as they're doing, I had won a race as a team principal. Chevy had not had won a race, so it was perfect in every scenario for us. But obviously, with the potential that we have, the sponsors and all the backing that we get from all the partners and the UK, winning 1 race more than mid-season and getting beat by only 2 teams definitely is not where I wanted it to be, but I'll take it 1 win at a time, but it felt good.
We'll let you get back to it. Thank you for your time, as always.
Thank you.
Team principal for Arrow McLaren Racing, Tony Kanaan.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And back to the importance of where things stand in terms of the entrant points for that Leader Circle money, Davey. Currently, Marcus Ericsson is 20th in points with 164. Nolan Siegel's entry is at 156. He's 21st. And Louis Foster is currently 22nd, 150 points back. Now, Prema with the 83 with Schwartzman is currently 23rd, but they're not eligible this year. Stingray Rob is 24th, but he only has amassed 120 points, so he's about 36 points behind the 21st place of Nolan Siegel.
Yeah, and Hunter Ray didn't have a great weekend either at Iowa. Obviously a huge wreck down in turn 1 in race number 2. And that wasn't bad enough. Their hauler catches on fire going back to Indianapolis, right? And that's been all the cars back to Indy, getting in a new hauler. Unfortunately, they had their NXT hauler was available, but they had to change shock dynos. A lot of effort went into that to get that ready. Behind the scenes things, just how difficult it was. And so yeah, Stingray he's the one on the outside looking in, and he can make that time up. It's just races that are running out, and you got to make it happen quickly.
1,500 tires brought by Firestone this weekend. Davey, the compound the same as what we saw at St. Pete, Long Beach, and Detroit. 5 sets of primary, 5 sets of alternates. Rookies taking advantage of the fact that they get an extra set, and all of them are taking laps as we speak. But a few veterans are out there as well. Rossi, Simpson, Rasmussen, Siegel, and Kyle Kirkwood. According to Firestone, the alternate compound has been updated a bit, and they hope the grip goes up, but they expect the wear to be up a little bit as well.
Yeah, well, and if you recall the earlier races of the season, they wanted to get off those alternates quickly. Remember, I mean, they only had 1 or 2 laps of qualifying before that tire really started falling off. So no surprise that they changed that tire just a little bit. And I think it's a situation that that everybody knows where they're at. They're gonna test them, obviously, 5 sets each, as you just said. They're gonna be faster qualified, no question about it. But what's the longevity gonna be? How fast are they gonna degrade? How much speed they're going to lose a lap, and that's going to be the key, and they're going to find that out over the weekend before this race gets going.
It's around 1.8 miles, just shy of that, in fact. 11 turns, 4 to the left, 7 to the right. And the first race held here in 1986. Your podium was Bobby Rahal, Danny Sullivan, and Mario. Emerson Fittipaldi was on pole. That's a list of legends for you. Michael Andretti owned this place. 7 wins here. Dario Franchitti with 5 poles. Ganassi as a team with 8 wins here. So kind of walk us around. Tell us a little bit about the nuances of this historic venue here at Toronto.
Well, you know, first is that straightaway, coming down that front straightaway, long front straightaway, and turn 1 is the one that really brings you a good opportunity for a passing zone. But we also got to remember about turn 1, it brings a lot of traffic jams up as well. A lot of action down in that corner on starts and restarts. We've seen a lot of pileups. Cars upside down on top of each other. It creates a lot of, it gets really narrow down there. And then coming off of 2 is pretty much wide open, Mark, going down the really long back straight down Lakeshore Boulevard and going into turn 3, the optimal place for braking, and that's the best passing zone that we have. But same thing. I mean, when you go as 6th gear, probably 175, 80 miles an hour down to probably 40 miles an hour in that corner, it creates some havoc sometimes. But those are the 2 really great passing zones. But as you go through turn 3, and also goes from asphalt up a hill onto concrete, so it's a surface change, which, you know, gives different grip levels. And then turn 4, we see guys turn 4 just lose a little bit of grip, and there is a passing zone in that little short straightaway between turn 4 and 5. They're never clean, and we do see a bit of bumping and some guys in the wall. And matter of fact, I think some teammates in that Penske camp did that last year. And then from there, it's pretty much, you know, just a high-speed right-hand corners going through turns 5, 6, 7, and then you get to turn 8. Pretty sharp corner in turn 8. Coming off of turn 8 is your pit entrance. And by the way, the pits here, there's like a snake. It S's it around. Very hard to get in and out of pit boxes. The track follows that, but it's pretty much single file all the way back to that front straightaway, Mark.
We've talked a little bit about this throughout the course of time, over the past couple of years especially, and you just described it, and we just saw it almost as you were describing it. That right-hander, which is turn number 3, in which you go from asphalt to concrete back to asphalt, Nolan Siegel climbed back into the throttle at the uphill climb and that little turn to the right. And as soon as that car left that concrete patch and got on the asphalt, the rear end stepped out a little bit. Yeah,
and that's a situation. The speed, your mile per hour is really down in that area, and you're going up that hill, and you feel like, man, I could get after it. I could really go. It feels like you got almost like, per se, a little banking or a little bit of downforce in that area. But when you hit that surface change, it really gets the back tire spinning. Now, it will get better as these cars continue to practice and qualify and get rubber on this racetrack throughout the weekend. We always see that, especially on street courses. The grip level is going to start rising, and especially in places like that. But right now, they're tiptoeing through that area. 24 minutes left in this session, and again, we'll divide the field in half by the pit boxes, and they'll each get some time to go out and work on those qualifying sims. So we've had this format at our disposal now for a while, and I think all in all, it's pretty effective in terms of giving drivers an opportunity to have some clean racetrack, Davey, especially on this place that's 1.8 miles in length, just a little less than that. Yeah, you know, you don't have much time to get it done, do you? You go around here very, very quick, and everybody, you know, I think this split group is the best thing to do. Matter of fact, I almost hit any track. Just, it gives everybody the opportunity not to really slow down too much before that timeline. We're kind of seeing that happen right now, and we continue to say how unsafe that is, and so the least amount of cars you can put down there on practice, I think, is better off for everybody. Let's go to pit lane, check in with Michael Young.
Yeah, we've caught up with Ed Carpenter. Ed has reminded me of my manners. Our television partner, Georgia Henneberry, was going to do an interview with you, and she didn't have a camera here, so I thought, you know, I might as well go first.
That's acceptable now that I knew the facts.
So those are the facts. A little bit about what's going on. A big weekend last weekend for this team. I think Christian Rasmussen is starting to come into his own. He's been fantastic. We all know what Alexander can do. But the big announcement, the new shop in Westfield, Indiana, this team growing by leaps and bounds, the process and how long this has been in play.
It's been fun. It's the new partnership with Ted and Heartland has gone really, really, really great. We've integrated with our culture and their culture really well, and the partnerships on the sponsorship side are working really well. There's always room for improvement, but early takes, everyone's really excited about it, and then the shop project's just the next step in that evolution. But we want to be way better than what we've been, and everything we're doing is with that in mind. So we're pushing hard, whether it's on track, off track, all the things to be the best.
The new shop will be in Westfield, Indiana, in Grand Park, and it sounds like a grand adventure or a grand plan to put together this whole project. When you were a driver, and you're still a driver, but did you ever dream that your brain would have to put something like this, of this magnitude, together, and how involved are you in the whole setup process?
Still pretty involved in everything. I would say in the early stages of the building project, Ted's more taking the lead on that, but I've still kind of been involved now, getting more involved as it's becoming reality. But it's fun. It's definitely, me driving less definitely frees more time up just to push the limits on everything else. Not having to worry about myself being prepared as much throughout the summer. And that's all part of the decision process that's led us to where we are today. But it's a fun time to be a part of ECR, and looking forward to really exciting future.
And the importance of these great partnerships with Java House. They had a great activation last weekend at Iowa Speedway. Now they'll have their own shop in the new shop in your new headquarters. But the importance of a good partner like this. I don't think I've ever seen you with a partner this involved with racing and have a love for it just as much as you.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we came into it with an aggressive mindset, and that's not just with the team. It's, on the Java House side, for example, we're being really aggressive and trying a lot of things this year, whether it's at-track activation, the Java House Grand Prix in Monterey, experimenting and trying a lot of things and figure out what really moves the needle for the objectives that we have of getting that product into the marketplace and growing that brand. So it's very much a learning year, but we wanted to be really aggressive in our approach with it.
Groundbreaking and completion, when can we expect it?
We hope to break ground early 26. If we could break ground this year, we would, but we'll see. They've got to move some stuff around. But yeah, we're pushing to be in, sometime in 27.
You know why it's so important to have me interview you first is that you're 1 and 2 on the track right now.
That's good. We were when we started too.
Oh crap! All right. Well, I thought it was my good fortune. So.
Long ways to go. So the next 2 days are when it counts, but you always want to start strong.
Best of luck the remainder of the weekend. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
It's Ed Carpenter.
He shouldn't have mentioned that, Davey, because they're now 3rd and 4th because Ferrucci and Power have gone to P1 and P2.
Yeah, it does change fast, as we know, but they did. Rasmussen and Rossi, P1, P2 there for a while. As you said, Ferrucci and Power, now they're P1 and 2 with Rasmussen, Rossi, Simpson running out that top 5. Those times are going to continue to drop, no question about that. Ferrucci had a 102.85, so they'll be sub 102s by the time this track gets rubbered in and they get the alternate tires put on these cars, I'm sure of it.
25 of the 27 cars have taken laps. Ferrucci and Power P1 and P2, then Armstrong, Rasmussen, Rossi, Simpson, McLaughlin, DeFrancesco, Foster, and Eilot. Herta's 11th, Malukas is 12th, Lundgaard is 13th. 14th is Dixon, 15th is Siegel, 16th Kirkwood, 17th PK, 18th Jacob Abel, 19th Pato Ward, then Joseph Newgard, 20th, 21st Erickson, 22nd Schwartzman, 23rd Ray Hall, 24th Daly, 25th Rosenquist, and 26th Alex Palou. And back to the conversation Michael was having with Ed Carpenter, a fabulous new facility they're breaking ground on, Davey, and that has become quite an entity at Grand Park up in Westfield, Indiana, just north of Indianapolis. Soon to get busy as the training camp for the Indianapolis Colts, and it hosts youth league tournaments for all ages and all sports, and they're basically taking their race shop to where the people are, and they plan to make that race shop accessible to the fans who want to stop by and kick the tires and find out a little bit more about ECR and INDYCAR.
Well, you know, a lot of these race shops, including Rahal, you can go have dinner there. You can go have coffee, obviously, at Java House, at Ed's new shop. And so they're making it really entertaining and fun and for a reason to go to those shops. And obviously, they're going to have, it's all going to be based around racing. So it's going to be cool. I haven't seen any sketches yet. I'll get with Ed sometimes when it gets closer. But you know it's going to be very nice. That part of Westfield, as you said, man, it's taken off. It's been growing for quite some time, and it's actually getting pretty full. I'm surprised. I mean, they just keep adding on to it and growing out there, but what a great place for a race team.
Question for you about ride heights with these race cars. We're watching them go around the track on our multi-screen monitor, and we noticed the fact that those front wings especially going to get a big workout this weekend.
Yeah, they are. You know, very bumpy. I mean, it's not the bumpiest course we go on, but it's still the streets of Toronto and parking lots and a lot of things that we're going through. So it's very bumpy. You have to have your ride heights right. That's one great thing about being here in the past. They kind of know where to set the ride height so the cars don't bottom out. But you can see the flex of these wings. And Delara, I don't know how they build these wings to be able to flex and bounce so much and not break. It's pretty amazing, the carbon fiber strength on these nose wings and really all parts of the car.
Alex Wolf has caught up with our good friends from Firestone. Alex?
A great opportunity about halfway through this all skate to talk to Kara Kristalik from Firestone. And Kara, what can you tell us first off at the start of the weekend about the two tire compounds we're going to see with the primaries and the alternates?
For this year, we reformulated the alternate compound, but it's going to be the same consistent one we've seen through all the street courses this year. It's a little bit softer, so it's going to wear quite a bit more. We had really good alternate tire performance at Detroit, and Toronto's pretty tough on tires when it comes to different and softer compounds. So likely we'll see people get some really fast qualifying laps, but I don't think it'll be the preferred tire for the race weekend.
Now, we talk about this sometimes, but of course, for the fans out there with this street course, you can't shut down Exhibition Place to do tire testing like maybe you can on an oval or a permanent road course. But what is the sort of thought process that the engineers go towards when you're putting a tire together for a street course like this?
So at Firestone, our engineers are always continually improving the tires and learning from every single race. So it's one of the reasons why we are here at the street course events and all the events to learn. So even though we can't shut down the roads and do a tire test here, we're learning all year long on these compounds, and we get to actually do some testing at places like Sebring. But as you know, Sebring is not the same as running on some of these street courses. So this one is a pretty unique track. It's just a fun race weekend to be for us as engineers. We love the area. We love the people here. But this course has some challenges to itself too.
And lastly, of course, we see the technicians going up and down the pit lane during these sessions. You do as well, checking the tires, the temperatures of the treads, things like that. But what's the process like with feedback with the drivers and teams before, during, and after sessions to sort of see what they think of the tires?
Yeah, certainly. We get a lot of feedback after the event. During the event, if there's something that or maybe different, we'll reach out to the drivers and get some feedback there. But pretty much once you're at a race weekend, what you have is what you have. So everybody is going to have to manage it the same. But there's stuff that we learn, and so when we come back next year, we'll see whether we're going to bring a more durable alternate or how it stays. We work so well with INDYCAR. Tino and the rest of the team there are great about getting us metrics about the quality of the race, and then we're able to adjust the compounds to make sure we have a great, safe, and exciting race for all the fans.
Well, Kara, as always, we appreciate everything that Firestone does, and you've given us access to talk to you about the great work that you guys do each and every race.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, really good stuff from Kara Kristalik. Always appreciate the invite. And, Davey, we watched Kristen Rasmussen apparently auditioning for Formula Drift the past couple of laps between turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, it just shows you the grip level, and it's all around this track that are really, pushing hard. We've seen some cars get to, I think it was actually Lundgaard that maybe got in that outside wall as well coming off of that final corner. But until the rubber gets laid down, they're going for it, but it's just the track's not quite there yet.
Hey, as we mentioned, Colton Herta dominant 1 year ago, and of course he led all the practice sessions, led qualifying, and won the race. And we caught up with Colton Herta earlier today and asked him to reflect on that dominant weekend 1 year ago.
No problems. I think it was a smooth race weekend. Everybody did an amazing job, and it was awesome. Andretti won too. It was super special. So try to replicate that. It's easier said than done. But, you know, based on our previous road course or street course events, it looks like we still have the ability to have that same pace. Obviously, minor changes and setup come into a place like this compared to like Detroit or Long Beach, but, you know, I'd say the platform overall is very similar.
And to that point, he was referencing, of course, the wins by Kyle Kirkwood on street courses of late throughout the course of this season. We asked him overall about what he thinks the reasons are for their prominence and their dominance on, or their prowess, I should say, on these street courses.
You know, it's hard to say. It's not one thing, because like how me and Kyle find lap time, and for example, how we found lap time here last year, were completely different places, you know, so I don't think it's like one shoe fits all. I think there's a lot of different ways to be fast at the street circuits, and a lot of different ways for, even if you have the same setup, like me and Kyle had a very similar setup, you can find lap time very differently. You know, I think it's cool. It's what's exciting about IndyCar is the driver has a big role in what's going on track and how their driving style is. They find time differently to everybody else, so it's fun. It's a difficult thing. You know, obviously we did so well last year, but to say that we're going to do well like that this year would be, I don't know, stupid of me. I feel like, because that was an amazing, you know, maybe once in a lifetime type of weekend to lead every session.
He's making a strong bid to get off to a good start, Davey, because Colton Herta is currently P2 in this session in Toronto.
Yeah, and not by much. A 101.90 for Will Power, a 102 flat for Colton Herta, then a 102.15 for Joseph Newgarden. So you got a Penske, an Andretti, a Penske, then you got a McLaren in that top four, and then you got a Ganassi with Plo, top five, actually.
He made an interesting statement. He talked about how their setups are similar, and you know, you've had teammates over the years, and it's got to be a huge advantage for a race team when you have teammates who like similar setups, who have similar driving styles. Makes it easier for the team as a whole.
Such a huge benefit, because that means that you can go into the race weekend with the exact same setup and work from there, knowing that you both like the same things. In case one guy gets off and the setup doesn't work for him, it's a huge advantage to do that. And then that's why you try to get teammates that have that same feel, for the reason, just because if you're way different, it doesn't, you know, you're not sharing the same information. So him and Kyle, as he just said, and I don't know where Ericsson stands there. I'm liking to think that his setup is close and he likes that, although Ericsson's had a tough year as well, and not all of them because of his doing. Matter of fact, he's P10 right now, not a bad run, and so you got Herta leading, then you got Ericsson P10, and then you got Kirkwood in P8, so they're all pretty close.
I'm sure, speaking of Ericsson, that he hoped for better fortunes. Last year was a struggle for him, Davey, out of the box at St. Pete. He started 7th and he finished 6th, and Davey, he's not been inside the top 10 since.
Well, he actually got second in the Indy 500, but they had an infraction and then took him out of that second place finish, put him to dead last. So that was one glimmer of hope, but it didn't stick. And so that's pretty amazing, that stat that you just said, because coming out of Andretti Global, what Ericsson has been able to do in the past with his past team, you thought that he'd go over there, and I'm sure he thought he's going to go over there and really make a difference and get some wins with that Andretti Global team, but it just hasn't worked out.
A couple of updates to the pits. Let's start with Alex Wolff.
And we're talking about those Andretti Global cars. Last year's winner here in Toronto, Colton Herta, and the winner on the streets of Long Beach and Detroit, Kyle Kirkwood. Kyle Kirkwood had the front cover off of his car. They were making some front spring changes. The engine cowling was off as well, so they were taking a look at it. But for Colton Herta, wholesale changes of the shocks and springs on the front and back of the 26 car, so momentarily he'll be heading back out on track.
Go to Michael Young.
Yeah, same kind of situation down here at the front end pit out. We have Felix Rosenquist sitting on pit lane. They basically have those dampers, what are in essence a shock absorber. They are switching those out and also switching the springs in those dampers as well. So on the front of that car, they're making those changes. So too to the rear of that car. David Malukas sits on pit lane. So too Alex Palou. Alex just clicked off a quick lap, put him in the top 5 for that moment. So we will continue to see these changes. Looking forward to the split groups, as we'll really get a good idea of what these cars, these drivers really have here on the streets of Toronto.
Nick Yeoman checks in with us, and Nick will be at his familiar spot high atop turn 3 for qualifying and race day. But Nick's got a pretty good view on a multi-screen monitor of the entire course for this particular session, and a parking lot developed in turn 10, Nick Yeoman.
Yeah, that was down in turn number 10, and I saw 3 specific cars that were down there that all overshot the corner. Mark, it looked like the first one was Scott McLaughlin, and then he was joined by Santino Ferrucci, and then all of a sudden Pato O'Ward appeared as well. So 3 Chevrolet drivers trying to get everything they can. That's right by the timing line, so you're going to see drivers hustle through that part of the racetrack all weekend long, especially tomorrow in qualifying. That tire barrier that sits to the outside of 10 and 11 also can be pretty tricky as well. But looks like McLaughlin and Ferrucci and Pato O'Ward all kept it off the walls. They were able to pull quick little 180s and continue on here in practice.
I'll remind you, Davey, that years ago, my first year in turn number 3, when the race was over, there were like 8 cars in the runoff area down there that had trouble in turn number 3. And our good friend Doug Allen of the AMR IndyCar safety crew affectionately referred to me as the crap magnet after that. And crap a word that he used, but he said it lovingly, and it was a term of endearment. But
we know what he meant.
Yeah. So you know, he would always come to me after that and say, "Okay, what turn are you going to be in?" Because he wanted to make sure that he wasn't that part of the race.
Yeah, right. Well, sometimes that just happens, right? And we just seen. Speaking of that, we got some debris. I'm not going to call it crap. Some debris hanging off. Is that whose car was that? DeFrancesco's car. So it looked like a water noodle or something hanging off the side of his car. I'm not sure what that was as he came in pit lane.
The Will Power continues P1. Colton Hurta second fastest, and Joseph Newgarden, Pato O'Ward, and Alec below. Rosenquist, Armstrong, Kirkwood, McLaughlin, and Erickson top 10. Then Malukas, then Ferrucci, then Foster, then Dixon and Rahal. Rasmussen 16th, 17th, Rossi 18th, Ilott 19th, Kiffin Simpson. 20th, Christian Lundgaard. Devlin DeFrancesco is currently 21st. Then Nolan Siegel, Radis VK, Stingray Robb, Robert Schwartzman, and Jacob Abel. Connor Daly is 27th fastest. And Davey, I got to give it to Jacob Abel, the young man. You know, it's been a struggle for him. Big learning curve in that 51 for Dale Coyne Racing, but you know, brought it home inside the top 15 in race number 2 in Iowa last weekend.
Yeah, P11 is career best finish. Did a really good job, and that's back to strategy. You know, I mean, what happens on these courses is, especially in Iowa, where the tire falls off in speed, everybody thought, well, I got to get in early and do the undercut and really make up some track time. That definitely works if it stays green, but if it goes yellow, which it caught Joseph Newgarden out twice because you go 2 laps down there when you pit under green flag conditions, and it went yellow right after they pitted, and actually as Newgarden was pitting at one point, and when that happens, it puts you in a bad position. But guess what? Who stayed out? That was Abel. He stayed out, made a lot of positions up, and was able to, you know, hold that spot and had a really nice finish.
So David Malukas, all in all, has put together a pretty solid campaign in the 12 races this season. He has a podium finish and a couple of top 5s and 3 top 10s. He's led 3 races for 71 laps. And earlier today, our Alex Wolff caught up with a talented young driver for AJ Foyt Racing.
So, David, as we get into this summer season in mid-July, just what's your overall assessment of how your first season with AJ Foyt Racing has gone?
Very happy. You know, when I first came into it, being with the new team and everybody being a bit more fresh on that perspective, we knew that it was going to be a little bit tougher to start trying to learn what I want with the car and learn each other. And I feel like after month of May, where we spent a lot of time with each other, you know, we're pretty much till morning till night every single day for a whole month, we managed to find a lot of time with the car, and I feel like that progression has been showing. We've been on an upward trajectory. Of course, races, they play out as they play out with yellows, and you can get lucky, unlucky, and filter backwards, but overall we've been consistently higher up there, and obviously the results for the whole team have been more consistent when it comes to top 10 results, so getting better and better.
And how much does it sort of help the confidence for the team that first year, the gelling process, and to be overall 11th in points, knocking on the door of the top 10, and be outrunning one of the cars that you have a technical alliance with?
Yeah, I mean, confidence and morale is as high as it's been in this team. I mean, everybody's super happy, and yeah, it feels good. I mean, our whole goal is that when you come into every single race and people are thinking of who's going to be up there and what those questions are, we want to make sure that AJ Foyt is always a part of that conversation.
And lastly, as you get ready to run here in Toronto, a street course, there's a little changes year by year. When you have that track walk earlier in the week, what are some of the things that you look for, maybe that you notice that are a little bit different between the 24 and 25?
Yeah, there's some changes in the concrete patches in a few corners, maybe a little bit more narrow on the walls in some perspectives, but a lot of it is going to get answered after practice 1. But we learned everything that we could, and we'll take that information into this practice.
the eventual landing spot, we think, for David Malukas is Penske because of that technical alliance. It may not be next year. It might be 2 years from now. Bottom line is this, Davey. It's been a long time since A.J. Foyt had not one but 2 drivers inside the top 10 in points at this point in the season.
Yeah, and you know, you look at that technical alliance, and we do understand that, you know, Penske has his eye on David Malukas. But then you look at the driver lineup that Roger has, and they think, well, maybe Will Power is going to be the one that may get sifted out. Well, Will Power has done better than anybody in the Penske group this year. He's highest in points. He's had the best finishes. Actually, he's the best, you know, I mean, most positive attitude, I think, him and McLaughlin for sure, about getting things turned around over there. So hard to get rid of. When you got drivers of that caliber, really hard to get rid of anybody. And so where does that leave David? I agree with you. I think that maybe it could be a couple years before he goes over there. But, man, the silly season really hasn't got hot and heavy yet. But we do think someday he could end up one of those Penske cars.
Ontario Place was a multi-entertainment destination, Davey, and our Jake Query remembers going there when he was a kid on vacation years and years ago, and I had a bird's eye view of that once upon a time when I was out at Turn 3, and I know Nick's seen that area evolve over the years. Well, that has all been demolished, and they have other plans for that area now, and to that end, there's a pedestrian crossover that used to be, you know, right there close to turn number 3. That is now gone, and I never noticed it before, but now that pedestrian area is gone, that crossover, your eyes are drawn now more to the racetrack. And what I have noticed during this session, there are some pretty pronounced bumps that seem to have developed at the entry point going into turn number 3.
Yeah, well, good eye, Mark, because, I mean, these cars are bottoming out. You can see we don't really throw sparks out because they're not titanium floors. Usually use wood, but you can see the smoke or the, you know, the scuff off the bottom of these cars. So they're still working with the ride heights, but that has developed, no question about it. The speeds are up. Cars are a little bit low down there, but they definitely are bottoming out in that area where that bridge was.
Talk a little bit about that entry and exit to the pit lane. I don't suppose the exit is any easier than most, but the entry is really daunting, and that's something that about a half a lap before, you better make up your mind that that's where you're going.
Yeah, as soon as you come off turn 8, directly to the left, there's a wall right in center of the racetrack, basically. Right, you go on the racetrack. Left, you go in the pits. And the first pit is literally just as you get inside that pit area. That's Colton Herta. He's in the first one on pit in. And then it snakes. It's like a big S going down through there. So some of those pit spots, especially on the insides, really hard to get into and out of. And some of these teams, it's a big disadvantage on on having a pit road like this. But it's all they could do. There's no other way they can make it straight, and it's very challenging to get in and out of the pit as Colton comes in his pit. He may not be the first one, maybe the second, but it's very challenging for these drivers to get in and out of these spots. And if it's a situation under yellow and everybody's pitting, keep an eye out for the pit lane because it's going to get interesting.
Couple of short sessions for these drivers after this 40-minute session wraps up in about 30 seconds from now. And then tomorrow they get a session at 10:30 in the morning and then qualifying at 2:35. And then on Sunday, an early morning warm-up session around 8:30 before they go racing at 11:30 Eastern time. The green flag I set for about 20 minutes past the hour. So, Davey, how are we going to stack things in terms of what are we going to work on to these particular sessions as we just see one of the XM cars make contact with the outside retaining wall?
Yeah, I think it's a situation where right now they're all really working on just kind of a base setup, which means kind of a race setup, just something that's comfortable to drive. They got their primary tires on right now, and then just kind of get a good balance. But they're going to switch over in the practice tomorrow to probably, you know, really work on a qualifying setup because, as you just said, a lot of races won here from the front row, and qualifying means a lot because it's just not easy to pass here. And it's you know, no matter what track you're on, you want to start towards the front. So I think today's a little bit of car balance. Tomorrow will be some qualifying, and then that final warm-up would be full load runs where they're going to put tires on, full loads of fuel, and then just see what they got for the race.
So now that the checkered flag flies on this session, and then, you know, they split them into 2 groups, do you think there's still going to be a lot of teams out there that maybe use their alternates judiciously and work more on those qualifying sims tomorrow?
Yeah, well, I think, I'm not exactly sure. It seems like we always see these drivers, this means it's 5 sets of primaries, 5 sets of alternates, that they will put some tires on today to just see what they have towards the end of the session, just to try to really lay a lap down and see what they have for a balance with the alternate tires. So no surprise if they put some alternates on for this the finale of this session.
So, Will Power is the fastest at 103.078. Then it's Herta, then it's Newgarden, O'Ward, and Kyle Kirkwood, the top 5. 6th fastest is Alex Palou. Felix Rosenquist checks in at 7th quick. 8th is Marcus Armstrong. 9th is Rinus VeeKay. 10th is Scott McLaughlin. Then Marcus Ericsson, Louis Foster, Christian Lundgaard, David Malukas, Santino Ferrucci. Through 15th, then Scott Dixon, then Graham Rahal, then Christian Rasmussen, then Alexander Rossi. Callum Ilott is 20th fastest. Simpson at 21st, 22nd is DeFrancesco, then Nolan Siegel, then Robert Schwartzman. Connor Daly is currently 25th fastest. Let's see, Stingray Rob is 26th quick, and 27th fastest is Jacob Abel. To give you an idea of where we stand in terms of time. Davey, it's not a wide gap. Will Power at a 103.078 and Jacob Abel at a 104.992. That all in all, that's pretty tight.
Yeah, no, this field's always tight. We usually see them within that second range, right? And today, right now, it's not over. It's a 2-second split right now between fastest and slowest. But by the time qualifying comes around, you can almost count on pretty much this entire field being within 1 second.
Get the feeling that Connor Daly is a driver that's ready for a top 5, maybe even a podium finish, or maybe even a win. It seems like throughout the course of a race, no matter where he starts, we've seen Connor Daly start to climb up timing and scoring. He had a 7th place finish at the race in Iowa. Did have a 16th place finish in race number 2, but he had a 6th place finish at Worldwide Technology Raceway. A bobble on a late stop after leading 36 laps kind of cost him a chance to win that one. One other top 10, that was at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And earlier today, we caught up with Connor Daly, and we asked him what it was going to take to finally break through to get himself to the podium or to P1.
Iowa race 2 is purely just luck. I mean, honestly, there's so many, everyone, hindsight's 2020, so that's always perfect. But realistically, pitting when we did, we came out in clear track, and we were really fast on new tires in the short run, so it's like, oh man, that would have been perfect. But it is still a bit of a gamble. So, I don't know, man. I think the best part about it still is that we are at the front all day, and we're not having to work as hard to get there. It's just a matter of placement and pit stops occasionally just to nail it at the right time. But yeah, man, I don't know what it takes. A lot of the times when I look at it, I've been at the front more this year than I think in my whole career, just consistently. And you look at the folks that have the best days, and you're like, you can point exactly to where it happened. And you're like, oh, well, that was nice. That was awfully convenient. And then, obviously it's on the driver as well, to do his job. But if we keep giving ourselves those shots, surely we will learn enough about the intensity and the pressure and the what is necessary to, cross the line first, hopefully.
Really strong second half to the season, Davey, for him in that car last year, which got them the leader's circle money that they so desperately needed. Yeah. And I think rightfully so, he was rewarded with a full-time ride. And I think, as he suggests, if Lady Luck smiles on him and that race team a little bit, he might get that podium finish or maybe get to the top spot.
Yeah, especially at the ovals. He really seems to excel in the ovals. I seen him at the airport on the way here, and he did tell me, he goes, I think, somebody should give me a little bit of credit for cleaning that outside group, being the first one to go up there, keep it clean and get the rubber down. And I agree with him. Him and Santino were the two that I seen that really got up there and got after it on the starts and restarts. McLaughlin, he found his way to the front, but he found his way to the front going underneath guys, which you give him a lot of credit for because it's not that easy to do. But they turned that racetrack. I think they're the ones that started it, but then everybody ended up running up in that second lane, which helped out a lot. So Connor's not afraid to go up there, and he puts on a great show on the ovals, and hopefully he gets rewarded for what he does.
And let's hear from part of the ownership group of that car, Connor Daly. Ricardo Juncos is with Michael Young.
Yeah, Ricardo, it's one of those situations. You always look to the positives of racing and the good times, and then you have a rough race with Stingray in race number 2, and then the transporter catches on fire on the way back from Iowa. Walk us through that whole process and what the team and you have been dealing with these last couple of days.
Yeah, it's been very tough. You know, you argue about the luck, what is good luck, what is bad luck, but I cannot complain much about my whole life about how much good luck I have right over the years. So sometimes we have these moments that it is what it is. Not much we can do. Unfortunately, that happened, and one of the transporters get on fire. And to be honest, it was, in my side, was really good to see the team effort, what we got to go through. And it's just a lot of work, right? So the schedule is already complicated if everything is fine. Imagine something like this. So the positives are that one, we just came stronger for sure after this as a team. That's what I said to the guys. Through my life happened so many times, moments like that you say, why, right? Why it's happened, why it's with us? But you overcame the situation, you became stronger, if anything, so that's a positive side. We could be really worse, so that's a good thing that nothing happened with anybody. It's just material things, and then the other good thing is to see the support from the cities and the other teams. Like, that was unbelievable. My phone was just keep popping up from Roger Penske to the last team, to the series, the Lara, I mean, everyone. So that was good to see. You feel the support when moments like that happen, and here we are, right? We get it on time to Toronto. I don't know how, and the car is running, so everything is fine.
What is salvageable out of that transporter? Do you have anything that you can save? I understood the smoke was just unbearable inside.
Yeah, so imagine it's like an oven, right? So it's not just the flames, but it's the heat and all the smoke, and everything is black, covered on smoke and all that. So I really didn't know if anyone in the team knows today what happened on damage. We're going to take a look. Luckily, we have 6 cars, so we have a lot of spares to pull for Toronto, and then from here we go straight to Laguna Seca, so we are using the Indy Lights trailer. We have Andretti trailer actually at the shop, but unfortunately the deck was really small on the top, so we couldn't fit the equipment, so we decided to use our Indy Lights, but it's all good, you know, like on that side. So when we finish all this, we're going to go back and take a look what really damaged, which is a lot of little things as well. Not the race cars, but maybe components like computer harness, you know, things that can melt because of the high temperature. But it is what it is. Look, like we're gonna keep pushing here. We're gonna focus on the championship. Still 5 races to go. So really happy to the team that I have. Right, it's amazing. And Brad Hollinger and myself are just so proud for the guys.
You've done an amazing job building this organization. Thank goodness no one was hurt. We're glad you guys made it. And we'll wish you all the best for this race weekend.
Thank you so much, and big thank you for everyone else.
There you go. Thank you. That's Ricardo Juncos.
Yeah, good stuff. And Davey Hamilton, it's never an ideal time, but it's certainly not an ideal time when you're in a span of 5 races in 4 weeks.
No, it's a very good time. And I've had a hauler burn up, and it is not good. And it's a lot of work, and the smoke damage, and like you said, the heat, it's they can be fixed, but man, it's a lot of work and a lot of time. So them be able to turn that thing around, and actually they had to use another trailer, obviously, but getting everything salvageable out of that one. Better way, you got to unload a wrecked race car out of that thing and try to get it fixed as well. So that took a lot of heat and smoke and soot all over that as well. So long week for them, but Ricardo, he's relentless. I mean, he tries hard and he continues to show up these races, and that's definitely not what they needed, but they're making it happen.
12-minute session. The field is split in half, and the clock has started on that, and 2 minutes of that have already gone. Let's talk about a dominant performance in the battle for the Engine Manufacturers Championship, Davey. It looked like Chevy was going to gain some ground on Honda in race number 1, but Honda came storming back in race 2, and when they left Iowa, their lead is 1,147 to 939 over Chevrolet.
Yeah, so definitely not looking good for Chevrolet, to be really honest with you at this point. They needed another strong run the second day at Iowa. Then here comes the Hondas, and led by Pelot and Dixon in second. By the way, Dixon does get a 6 grid penalty for engine change as well, so that's going to affect that Honda car. But man, they just can't. You know, that was the first win as well, so they're behind the 8 ball, no question, and it's going to be pretty. It's for Chevrolet to win the championship is kind of like you know, second place in the championship beating Pelot.
9.5 minutes remaining in this first session. We've been keeping an eye on the Firestone pit performance, and that is a battle, as it suggests, among all of the pit crews. And Will Power team has kind of had a stranglehold on that, Davey, but the fortunes have changed a little bit. A lot of that's because of some of the DNFs that Will has suffered from. So Scott Dixon currently leads that with 413 points. The Wolfpack, to no one's surprise. And then Award, Pelot, Lundgaard, and Will Power. And if you think for a minute that's not important, you don't know a lot about motorsports, because how many times throughout the course of the season have we seen races go away because of a bobble at a pit stop?
Yeah, those pit crew guys, they win and lose races for you, and you know, you're a team, and you know, it's one of those things where a driver wins and loses for you as well. If he scuffs the wall or something goes bad, or a pit guy fumbles on a tire a little bit, you just have to support each other. We all make mistakes, and we all have our great days. You just hope the great days all line up with each other, and you get some wins. But it's so important, and you know what? It's great giving those guys credit too, because you know, they're in a dangerous situation. They're right in the middle of pit road. A lot of things can happen. We've seen the guy's foot get run over in Mid-Ohio on the coin car. I mean, they're in dangerous spots, and they do a great job.
Yes, and he finished the stop.
Yeah, he didn't even flinch.
No.
I mean, and then they put him on a stretcher to get him out of there. And by the way, I think he wrapped his foot up and came back and did the pit stops in Iowa last week.
An update from Michael Young.
Just watching the transition happening here on pit lane, everybody coming in, and you're seeing those green sidewalls, those Wauuli tires from Firestone, the alternate tires this race weekend, and up and down pit lane, we're starting to see those cars put those tires on. I just saw Santino Ferrucci go by. He has the alternates on. So too Scott McLaughlin. So to Davy's point, that transition has happened, and as this practice session and the remainder of it, the two groups starts to unfold, we'll start to see some quicker lap times.
How about Alex Wolff?
And also seeing a switch over for Kiffin Simpson, a top 5 finisher on the streets of Detroit. Back earlier in the month of June, he's made the switch onto the alternate green sidewalls, and he, during that break before this first group went out in the split practice sessions, he was making some pretty wholesale changes for the front and rear with the shocks and springs on that 8 car, the Journey Rewards Honda for Chip Ganassi Racing. So again, trying to tune in with these bumps as far as the handling goes. Of course, the changes from year to year here in the streets of Toronto after those Canadian winners. So Kevin Simpson going to be going back out on the alternates.
And again, as we mentioned, Nick Yeoman to be out in turn number 3 for qualifying and race day. Nick, you were out there earlier today, and just kind of give us a scene set, if you will, on how much your perspective has changed since they eliminated that crossover bridge.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's a much larger vantage point of what I can see, and certainly you pointed it out earlier in the show, that noticeable bump down in turn number 3. In fact, Alexander Rossi's going through it right now. He might have just caught the wall, leaving that S's section of turn number 11 with the right rear tire. But it is a pretty spectacular vantage point. But watching these drivers navigate that long back straightaway where you're going 170, 180 miles per hour mark, and then navigate the bumps that change every single year, it's fascinating to watch these drivers. We're watching a lot of them slide around. Joseph Newgarden really having to grip that steering wheel hard, Mark, as it kind of slides left and right over the asphalt and the bumps. It is really, really fun watching these guys.
And again, Davey, as we've talked about before, there is a noticeable difference. As to Nick's point, we just saw Joseph Newgarden, we saw Nolan Siegel. Depending on how you time the return to the throttle as you're going uphill, there's a difference between the response to that throttle on that concrete as opposed to just a few inches later on that asphalt.
No, it definitely makes a big difference, because what happens, you go from lack of grip to a lot of grip to lack of grip again, and it makes a huge. They're on the gas thinking, oh, I got grip, and the next thing they don't. And you see that periodically around this racetrack. Go down in turn 1, same thing. It's the back of the car sliding around. Nick was right. Rossi did hit that wall coming off turn 11 with that right rear, continued on. A little bit surprised right now that everybody has the green softer compound tire on, but the times are slower than they were in in round 1. They're only at a 1:02.2, where Will Power got in. Was it Will that got into the 1:01s, 1:01.9s before? So we'll see if they continue to make some laps and get these tires up to temp and faster speeds.
Michael Young.
Yeah, down here on pit lane, guys, and if you guys covered this, I apologize, but I'm down walking through Devlin DeFrancesco's pit box, and David, you were right, and I know you spent a lot of time in the pool. This is a pool noodle down here, and when they bring the holes for the drivers who actually flag, or I should say the people who flag and officiate this race, and for the camera, the photographers, they'll put pool noodles to make a little hole in the fencing, and that's what Devlin ran over, was a pool noodle, about 3 foot of it, and it sits here in its pit box.
Well, I seen you floating around in one before we came here in the pool, and it looked a lot like it.
Oh, yeah, I wish we had time to go swimming, and yeah, but I certainly would need a pool noodle if I did indeed go swimming here in Toronto.
Well, this is theater of the mind, so we can stop with those images right now, please, and thank you. Alexander Rossi is P1 in this session so far, and then Louis Foster, Joseph Newgarden, Graham Rahal, Santino Ferrucci, Christian Lundgaard, Scott Dixon, Will Power, Kiffin Simpson, Robert Schwartzman, Devlin D. Francesco, Felix Rosenquist, Connor Daly, and Jacob Abel to Alex Wolff.
And Santino Ferrucci, you're talking about that black Sexton Properties number 14 for AJ Foyt Racing has come in on those alternate sidewalls. They had also made some front and rear changes with the shocks and springs before this practice group went out. They came in and it was similar to something that they did during the practice session last Saturday morning at Iowa Speedway, where making a front wing adjustment, a change, and they have found it was just easier with the changes they wanted to make to it to just change the entire nose cone assembly. So they've done that, so they're buttoning things up, the front cover. After they check things out, they just turned on the engine, so a whole new front wing assembly for Santino Ferrucci on that car as he heads back out into exhibition place.
I think what it boils down to in this session, Davey, is they're all, my guess is, giving, because of the time limit, they're giving one set of alternates a really good workout to find out how they're going to stack them for both qualifying and race day.
Yeah, no question about it. Will Power finally in that 101 bracket, 101.85, so about 1/10 quicker than he went on the primary tires. And then Colton Herta down in turn 8. I think it's the third time he's been off just in turn 8. Goes down there, does a 180, comes back on track, does not hit anything, but he's had an issue with turn 8 today.
Now, something that I would like for either Michael or Alex to chase down, and it's a question I don't know that we've ever asked, but I'm just curious, and Davey, you might wonder about this too. When it comes to the tire deck, in terms of this green sidewall tire, just interested because of the compound of the makeup, how different it is from a regular alternate tire that has that red sidewall on it.
Well, that is a good question, and that would be a Firestone answer for sure. But I think that's actually, it's made out of different materials, obviously.
It is, for sure.
But I think it's a softer tire, if I'm not mistaken, when it first came out. And this is not going to be a good lap for Colton Herta. He about hit the wall down in turn 1 as well. I think he's maybe already gave that lap up. No, he's still going for it. But that is a really good point and a good question, because I'm when you use different materials to make a tire, they're going to be different.
Michael Young.
With Tim Broyles, I just climbed on the timing stand with him. So we're asking the question, the guys in the broadcast booth want to know the difference between the red alternates and the Wauli green tires. Is it drastic? As a race strategist, how do you approach each of these tires throughout a weekend?
Well, we're working on understanding what the tire deck is going to be right now. So get a few more laps here on them, and just get a read on how they drop off, and then we'll make a decision from there.
Are they as good as the Reds, different than the Reds? How do you gauge them?
Jury's out right now, but they are quite a bit different than the Reds.
Appreciate the time. I'll let you get back to it.
Thanks.
That's Tim Broyles.
So what they know most assuredly, Davey, is they're just different.
They're definitely different. And if I recall, when they first came out with the green sidewall tire, I do feel like it was a little bit of a softer compound. And I think they may have had a little more tread on. I'm going back a little ways, just trying to go off memory, but they're different. He didn't really explain what that was. But
they don't know.
They just don't know either. But right now, a second car, which is Lundgaard, got in that 101s, but they're really not any faster right now than that primary tire as of right now. And Colton Herta, he looks like on the primary tire, he looked pretty solid, stable, had some good runs, and on this tire here, the alternate, he's sliding around a lot.
What it boils down to, too, is there is some familiarity here as the checkered flies on this portion of the session, Davey, because, as we said, Firestone brought essentially the same compound they used at St. Pete, Long Beach, and Detroit, and a compound that's very, very similar to what they've used here in the past in Toronto.
Yeah, definitely about it. And by the way, I made the mistake. Colton Herta is like the third car in on pit in. Not that it makes a huge difference, but it is very hard to get it. And get this, Colton Herta, as you talked about how fast he's been in every session, how the car looks good, he just looked bad. He just looked like the car was sliding around. he's the slowest out of the 15 cars in this group right now, and he got back. He tried to get a run at it. He almost hit the wall down in turn 1. He went off at turn 8. These tires on his car just don't seem to be happy.
Meyershank Racing with Kurt Magajanian brings you Felix Rosenquist in the 60 machine. It's been a great year for Felix Rosenquist all in all, and I think the technical alliance with Ganassi is one of the reasons why, but it's been kind of an up-and-down career for Felix Rosenquist. He's had his share of controversy, not of his doing. And interesting conversation earlier today on what he's reminded of when he comes to Toronto. Alex Wolff caught up with Felix Rosenquist earlier today.
So, Felix, I remember a conversation we had about 3 years ago. You were sort of at a turning point in your IndyCar career here at Toronto with McLaren, trying to prove yourself to stay in this series. You end up with a podium finish. When you come back to Toronto, do you think about that? Because it seems like your career really seemed to take off and solidify after that.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I actually remember I stepped into this room and there was a lot of stuff going on at that time 2 years ago now, which is crazy. It's a lot has happened since then, and I feel like I'm in a different place. I'm not a different person, but I've learned a lot for sure. And but yeah, I love this place. I think it's symbolic for a lot of good things in my career. I had a great run here in Indy Lights back in the day. I didn't have a podium here in my first year, but I had almost a podium. But yeah, I always loved coming here. It's a great track.
And this year, you're getting some great results, 6th in points. Is this the most fun you've had in your IndyCar career now in your 7th season?
Yeah, I think so. You're right. It's the best year, I say, to this point I've had. I finished 6th, I think, in my rookie year in the end. So we want to beat that. We want to top 5, I think. So then I'll be really happy. But yeah, it's as always. There's things you can improve. There's things as competitors, we never sit back and be like, oh, this is great. Like we always try to do something better and improve. And but yeah, I think we have a really good shot here for the last couple of races. Hopefully get a win. That'll be fun for us as a team. I think we've been close a couple of times here. So yeah, we'll give it a go.
Tim Broyle scratching his head earlier as we go green on the second part of this session, but the person who has all the answers is Kara Kristalik. Michael Young has caught up with her.
Yeah, I will admit I'm a radio guy. Then that's the reason why I'm on radio is I have a face for radio, and I certainly don't know anything about tires. So I will let you, Kara, explain. So it's the green Wawuli tires, and then the red alternates that we've seen for the last 10, 15 years. What is the difference between the two tires and the purpose to having a difference between the two tires?
All right, so aside from the Waiuli, and the Waiuli is just in the sidewall, and it is meant to protect the tire, and it gives it some performance characteristics. But essentially, the Waiuli sidewall is no different than the Havea sidewall in how it performs. Where the real difference is where the rubber meets the road. So it's that tread compound, and it's the difference in between the two. And like road courses as well, we try to have a pretty consistent primary tire, although at a place like Toronto with all the different surfaces and bumps and lots of steering input, having that consistent primary tire is always a challenge. Then you have an alternate tire, and the only difference is that tread compound. So everything else in the tire performance should be exactly identical and the same. So it's that tread compound that's different. Makes it quicker initially, so you're going to see some blistering fast qualifying times. And then in the race, people are going to probably want to get that off as soon as they can.
Remind us the reason why we went to the Waiuli, why you developed that tire with several different things, but the abundance of it, basically.
Yeah, so we are using racing as a proving grounds. We always have. It's a mobile lab for us, so we can try out new materials, new things, and we'll prove them out on these grueling demands of the IndyCar circuit, and we can show them that we can put them in Bridgestone and Firestone passenger tires. So Waiuli is one example. It's one way of bringing material in that's a little bit closer to a domestic product, less transportation, less shipping, but we're going to do that with lots of other things, whether it's soybean oil or all kinds of other things that we're working on and developing that you're actually already seeing in our Firestone race tires.
That's amazing. See, that's why I came to you, because I knew you would know. Thank you.
Excellent. Anytime, Michael.
Yeah, that's Kara Kristalik.
Yeah, thank you, Michael, for the hustle on that. Get two perspective of it, essentially, Davey. We got Tim Broyle's perspective and got the perspective of Firestone as well.
So, Tim, he's just like, are they faster, are they slower, and how fast are they dropping off? That's all he cares about. Where Chris, she has all the details, all the ingredients. I think we talked about this previously, but I've been very fortunate to be in a tire manufacturer before and see how they make it and make tires. And it's like making a cake, literally. Like they put a this ingredient in and a little bit of this, and it's all measured out precisely. They mix it up, and they get the nylons and they lay it out and the radials, and it's pretty amazing how they make a tire.
Well, Davey, and let's not forget, we talked to Mark Williamson last week from Firestone, who kind of runs, their area inside the paddock, and we talk about all the pressure on all these teams and all these drivers with these 5 races in 4 weeks. Those folks at Firestone putting in a fair amount of long days and nights, too, over the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, 1,200 sets of tires just in the IndyCar paddock, plus when Indy Next is at a race, they have more than that to do, and they're busy, and they do such a great job. They're so organized, orchestrated down there to where everybody knows their job, how to do it, and I've never heard of a bad mounter. I mean, we've had some tires that maybe we felt that had a little vibration or maybe out of balance, but man, lately I just haven't heard of it. They do such a great job.
9-minute mark of session number 2, and everybody looking at Will Power at a 101.654. Will Power with some success here, Davey. 3 wins in his career, but most importantly, 2 poles for Will Power in Toronto.
Yeah, and by the way, our all-time pole leader is Will Power, so you would like to continue to stack up those poles, but more importantly, wins. And I think this year, just getting a win out of that Penske camp by Will Power would maybe solidify exactly where he's going to be and where he wants to be, and that would be great to see.
See Jacob Abel making a little more than light contact with the wall off of one of the final turns of that 51 car. He had gone up to P2, but maybe they have brought that 51 machine into the pits. Like we said, Jacob Abel had to be excited to get to Toronto after that 11th place finish in race number 2 at Iowa, but it looks like he might have done a little bit of damage to the suspension on the left rear of that race car.
Yeah, it looks like the toe link's for sure bent. I don't know if anything else is, but they got the crew down there going to replace that toe link for sure. They should have them preset where they can just bolt the thing right on there. No one have to go to the scales and or anything like that. And matter of fact, they have the block that goes on the side of the gearbox already ready to go on that car as well. So he'll be out momentarily. But yeah, just got a little wide, beat up that left rear tire a little bit.
Christian Rasmussen is P1 early at a 62.092. Then Jacob Abel, then Scott McLaughlin, then Alex Palou, then Ritas VK through 5th. Malukas, Robert Schwartzman, Stingray Robb, and Nolan Siegel. Louis Foster, Marcus Armstrong, and Pato Award. Nick Yeoman, Marcus Armstrong had a really good weekend at Iowa Speedway. He's had a really good season along with his teammate Felix Rosenquist, and Nick got his first podium at Iowa Speedway.
Yeah, I mean, you guys talked about earlier in the show just how impressive AJ Foyt Racing has been, putting 2 cars in the top 10 of the standings. Tip the cap to Meyer Shank Racing as well. They entered this weekend 6th and 7th in the points. Felix, of course, got off to such a tremendous start, has cooled a little bit, and still had a really solid season coming in 6th. But you're right, Marcus Armstrong has been on a bit of a heater as of late, just stringing together lots of top 10 finishes, and as you said, really a signature run for him, coming away with a podium finish at that second race at Iowa Speedway, right there with the Ganassi teammates of Dixon and Palou. So clearly, Mark, that partnership, the technical alliance that they have made with Chip Ganassi Racing is paying really strong dividends for Meyer Shank Racing to have their drivers coming to this weekend 6th and 7th in points. And I think, Alex Wolf and I were talking a little bit about it. Marcus Armstrong probably on the short list of the next first-time winners that I don't think any of us would be surprised if we saw maybe by the end of this season, certainly transitioning into 2026.
Yeah, I really think that he and Malukas might be the top 2 candidates for that, if you will. Rasmussen, Abel, McLaughlin, Palou, and VK, the top 5 with 6.5 minutes remaining in the session to Alex Wolf.
And in the Jacob Abel pit, they are continuing to work feverishly on that left rear toe link. They made the change of it. The toe link was bent in the center after that contact. They're trying to get the next one fastened in place, and they took a look at the front end of the car with the wheels, and they seem to be happy with what they see there. They're topping it off with Shell fuel, and I think they're still hoping for about 6 minutes left in this session to get the 51 car back out.
Davey, taking a look at some of the other numbers for Alex Palou that are just absolutely crazy. In the 9 races that he's led 442 laps, and the driver that has led the second most laps, it's a little deceptive, Davey. Joseph Newgarden has led 331 laps on the season, but Davey, 232 of those came in Iowa last week.
Yeah, last week in the doubleheader in Iowa, and over 1,000 plus there, as you mentioned, and pretty impressive around those ovals right now. So it doesn't reflect on that points championship whatsoever, but Plo, I mean, he's getting the job done, no question about it. I mean, when he has the wins, like I say, only 3 winners this year. 4, I'm sorry, yeah. Again, 4 winners now, with Pato winning the first round there. Man, kind of stingy. There's a lot of drivers. There's 27 drivers that want to win, but only 4 of them have had that opportunity. And we'd like to see more, for sure, before the season gets over with.
Kirkwood was second in terms of laps led with 114, but Alex below 9 races led and a total of 442 laps. And again, Joseph Newgarden is P2 with 331. And it's below Newgarden, Kirkwood, McLaughlin, and Pato Award, the top 5 in terms of laps led. So 4.5-minute mark left in this session, and we see most everybody giving the alternates a run. Interesting to note that McLaughlin and Siegel have yet to put them on. They may still yet, but we've seen as this new pattern has developed, these new rules and guidelines with these 5 sets of each, Davey, and the way they've divvied up the practice sessions and qualifying sessions and whatnot. Teams start managing these primaries and these alternates almost as soon as the green flag flies on the first session, and some get a little stingy with them and like to hold on to them for qualifying and the race.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing with qualifying, you know, if you make the 3rd round, you're probably going to use 3 sets now, and you have a sticker set for the race. So they have that in mind. It's an extra set. It's actually a benefit as long as that alternate tire is the tire to run.
Michael Young.
Now with Kiffin Simpson down on pit lane, just got done with his debrief. And after your run at Mid-Ohio, I know this is a completely different track. The thoughts between the alternates, the primaries, you were running them a little bit. I think it's fascinating that you guys really never get a good grasp on the alternates till tomorrow. But what was your overall take of this session?
Yeah, it was tough for us, I think. Really not where we wanted to start. I think we struggled a lot more than we would have liked to. We're trying something different compared to last year because we struggled here in qualifying last year. So trying to find something on the car and wasn't really right. So just trying to find a new way to kind of make this car a bit better because it's not super comfortable right now. But we'll go do some work, and we've got another practice session to work on it before qualifying, and hopefully we can get it in a good window for qualifying.
We know you have the pace. How different or how comparable are your driving styles with your teammates Alex and Scott? Do you get a good basis off of them, or are you different as far as your driving style?
Yeah, I wouldn't say we drive super different. Scott definitely likes a really strong front end, so that is a bit different to me, but for the most part we give similar feedback on most changes, and we work well as a team. So I think at Chip Ganassi Racing, that's one thing that we do really well, which is all collaborating and working really well. And that's just tip of the cap to Chip and Mike for creating such a great team. And yeah, just looking forward to trying to get this car a bit better for everyone.
Not to overemphasize the obvious, but what's it like to be you, to have these 2 drivers to feed on and to get their input week in and week out for the last year and a half?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. Alex has been on an absolute tear, which is incredible to see up close and kind of see where I am compared to him and kind of see how I can get there. And because at the end of the day, that's the goal, to be as dominant as he's been. So, yeah, it's just incredible to be seeing it up close and learning from him firsthand.
It's been a lot of fun watching you excel here in 2025. Best of luck tomorrow as well.
Thank you.
There you go. That's Kiffin Simpson.
And if you're looking for a measuring stick, Davey, he qualified 17th at Long Beach and came home 10th. And he started 19th at Detroit and had his first career top 5 at Road America. Started 23rd and finished 6th. Matter of fact, the second half of the season, he has 3 top 10 finishes. So at least in terms of the road and street circuits, Kiffin Simpson has found some level of comfort this year.
Yeah, you know, one thing I mentioned early on, I go, you know, his name got brought up. I go, you know, we really don't talk about him. And I go, but you know what? I think that's a good thing because he's not in the back. He's not in the front. He's kind of in the middle, just not tearing up cars, not causing yellows or wrecks or doing anything wrong, but we're not talking about him. But later, as the season continues to go on, Mark, he is performing. He's top fives. He's getting the job done. We see speed out of him, as you just said. And what better teammates can you pick than what he has? That's no question about that. And Simpson's getting it done. It's pretty cool to watch.
We should make mention of the fact that he got a vote of confidence from his teammate Alex Below, and he told Alex it's time for the critics to find somebody else to complain about, because he's been pretty impressed with what Kiffin Simpson's brought to that race team this year.
Yeah, no, that when you get a compliment like that from the guy that's won so many races this year and is dominating this series is always a nice shot in the arm. And he he's doing it the right way. I really, he doesn't have that many laps. He's a rookie here. He's with a great team. We know that. We know that with having Scott and him in his corner is great, and they're both helping him. But he's calm, cool, collective. He's not making a lot of noise, but he's getting better every weekend.
Checkered flag on the second part of this session, and surprise, surprise, Kyle Kirkwood on a street course has gone to P1, Davey.
Yeah, by how much? Look at this time, 101.25. I mean, he really got that. Really got that car fast and dropped that speed. Will Power was a 101.8 fastest in that first group. So the second group, tires are getting a little laid down, or rubber's getting laid down. Kirkwood, McLaughlin, Pelot, Armstrong in this group all went faster than Power did in that group too. And so, yeah, pretty impressive time at a low 101.
Michael Young.
Your teammate with Marcus Ericsson just went to P1. They said the big difference between Group 1, Group 2, certainly Group 2 got a lot faster. What did you notice in that first round and Group 1 and this track and how it's rubbering up?
Yeah, no, it's a low track evolution for sure. It's very slippery in the beginning of the session, so it's that's always here in Toronto. It seems like it's just rubbering up a lot throughout the sessions with all the concrete patches as well. So definitely going to be a theme here this weekend.
Explain the alternate tires and why it takes not only this session but tomorrow's session to really get a good grasp on their durability and what they can do for you. What is it, the longevity or the longer runs that you get them on, or the track just coming in?
Yeah, it's just a very difficult green tire we have this year. It's very, very soft and fragile, so it's really tricky to use it really in the correct way. So it's definitely bit of a knife edge with them and sort of trying to be in the right window. And obviously for the race, it's going to be big question marks on them.
Hopefully you find the window. Thanks for the time. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you.
That's Marcus Ericsson.
Davey, on our monitor, we saw about 4 cars headed into turn 3, and that bump is extremely noticeable.
Yeah, it's big. It's a big one, and it's going to make a difference when it comes race time, because that's, right before braking zone, and when you're, side by side coming down in there and racing, that bump could make a big difference. So it could play effect at tomorrow's race,
so
Sunday's race.
Kyle Kirkwood was the fastest after these 2 12-minute sessions. Scott McLaughlin was second fast. 101.205, then a 101.341, then Pelot, then Armstrong, then Power, the top 5, then Eilert, Award, Malukas, Lundgaard, and Hurd at the top 10. Rosenquist, Rasmussen, Dixon, VK, and Newgarden through 15th. Rahal is 16th, 17th is Rossi, 18th Foster, 19th Schwartzman, 20th Ferrucci. 21st is Ericsson, 22nd is Siegel, 23rd is Simpson, 24th is Abel, 25th is DeFrancesco, 26th is Stingray Robb, and Connor Daly is 27th fastest. Marcus Armstrong was 4th quick in this session, Alex.
Sharp-looking maple leaf design on the Sirius XM Honda for Marcus Armstrong. And Marcus, how would you assess that practice session?
Yeah, it was good to be back on a street course. This place is so cool. Yeah, it was slippery to begin with. It was certainly nicer towards the end there. Yeah, it's always tricky around here, stringing a lap together, so I enjoyed it though.
And as we look ahead to tomorrow, what do you think about the track as it continues to rubber in with the Firestone rubber? And is there more in this 66 car from Meyershank Racing?
For sure there is. We're just going to try and, have a look at all the data, do all the boring stuff, and then tomorrow morning see what we have in free practice too.
It's an exciting run out there, and we look forward to seeing what you can do tomorrow and Sunday.
At 10:30 Eastern time tomorrow, join us for IndyCar practice and then qualifying at 2:35 Eastern. Then on Sunday, the final warm-up at 8:30 and then 11:30 flag-to-flag coverage of the Ontario Honda Dealers Indy Toronto. So, Davey, after the debrief today, what's going to be the focus of that 10:30 practice session tomorrow?
Well, I think a lot of them just mentioned that is go look at that data and just see where they're struggling the most. And the drivers towards the back of this field, they're just going to be just looking for speed. Dady, Rob, DeFrancesco, Abel, they're going to be looking for speed. Like, what do we have to do? We're off the pace. That's what they're going to be looking at. But then you got Kirkwood, McLaughlin, Plo, and those guys up front. They're going, okay, we got a good, solid car. Where we want to change for qualifying, so we're starting up front. But then don't forget, we got to be good in the race as well. So they're going to be just looking at that data and trying to figure out which direction they want to go.
Join us throughout the rest of this weekend as we move towards Sunday. Like on-site engineering and production, courtesy of Rick Evans. Thanks to Alex Wolf and Michael Young for their insight from the pits. For Nick Yeoman, Davey Hamilton. This is Mark James saying so long for now for the Ontario Honda Dealers Indy Toronto.
Massive thanks to our colleagues at Indy Radio for a fantastic broadcast. We've got a few minutes left, though, as well here before the session gets underway. But we're going to go off air and take you through as well. We'll be back tomorrow then for practice 2. Take care. See you later. Bye-bye.